All right, take it away, Fabio.
Thank you for that introduction. Hey everyone, for today's Tip Tuesday, we thought we'd go through a plant, and today we've picked Graptopedilum amethystinum, and which is also commonly known as the lavender pebble. So it's a very popular plant, very sought after. We've got some stock plants here that we'll show you. And we've also got another plant that looks quite similar, and a lot of people get quite confused by it, and that's Pachyphytum glutinicol. I think its common name is sticky moonstone. So a lot of people get the two mixed up. These, I mean, you can tell a bit of a difference now because your lavender pebbles is that beautiful pastel pink color. The sticky moonstone will actually show a bit of a pink color too, tinge to it at some point, but at the moment it's not. You will also notice that the leaves are a little bit longer on these guys, and they also got a bit of a tip, whereas majority of your leaves on your lavender pebbles is more rounded. Every now and then you might have a bit of a tip on the end of the leaf. And the flower looks different too. So, well, color wise, it looks different. So the sticky moonstone, so your glutinicol, will actually be like a really nice dark sort of pink color. And the lavender pebbles will be, from memory, it'll be like a reddish pink color. But yeah, you'll be able to tell. When you put the two together, they definitely do look different in terms of the leaf shape, but also the color at the moment. So we just thought we'd put that in there because a lot of people we see online get the two mixed up. So, but we're focusing on the lavender pebbles today. So this time of the year through summer, they're actually dormant, so they won't do a lot of growing at all. They're just trying to survive the summer and wait till autumn, cooler weather comes, and then they'll wake up and start powering on with some growth. So good time to definitely pot them up. Like, these guys are pretty good size in these size pots, so they're desperate to get out of there and go into the next size pot. But I'm going to hold off until we start getting some cooler weather. Hopefully next month we'll start getting that. So in terms of propagation, best to wait to do these guys when they're actually in the growing season, so when it's a bit cooler in autumn. Also in winter they'll put a bit of growth on as well, and early spring before it gets too hot. So, but just for this purpose, I'm just going to take a cutting and yeah, they will still work if you do cuttings, but they'll just take a lot longer to strike roots. Then you're more likely to get some rot through those cuttings. And also, if you're head chopping all your plants, sometimes they can also die from that as well, especially if you haven't left any leaves on the plant. So lavender pebbles, especially on this particular one here, you'll notice that it just strips all of its lower leaves.
Oh,
so looks quite leggy. And to prevent that, it's best to head chop the top here, and then all you're left is with the stem. And then hopefully you'll start seeing little tiny pups popping up from all these different nodes here. So I would definitely wait till the cooler weather, so in the autumn. But just for today, I'm just going to take a cutting of it. So you'll see there, I've just taken a nice cutting. What's that? Probably about 4 centimeters long. These guys strike so well from leaves, so I highly recommend, if you do take some cuttings off it, or if they're just on your main plant, just take a few leaves off. So these guys sometimes have a bit of a tendency to just die on you randomly as well. So I always like to have backups, particularly for these guys. So with lavender pebbles, we've probably got about 30 stock plants, parent plants, just in case. So they do strike really well from leaves. They're very easy to pick the leaves off, say, compared to some Echeveria like Agavoides. All you're doing is, like your thumb and index finger, and you just gently moving it to the side, and they come off really easy. So just like that there, and I'll probably leave that sort of amount of leaves still on that cutting. Then we'll just air dry it for a few days. You can go up to a week, let it callus. So that's just letting that wound there to seal over. Because if we put it straight into wet soil, you're highly susceptible to fungus attack there, and rotting can occur. So very important to allow that to air dry or callus. If you've got a really dry mix, then it's fine. You can put it straight in there if there's no sign of moisture. And that's it really. So we would won't be long soon, and we'll take cuttings of all of these guys. We'll take all the leaves off, and we put them into cell trays, which comes in 105 little spots. We'll put a leaf in each of those, and we put them in the soil. You can have it just sitting on top of the soil, it's up to you. We just find going into the soil is better because it stays a little bit more moist, the tip, because once they start throwing roots out, they dry out really quickly, so you got to water them quite regularly, especially if they're sitting on top of the soil. So I find if they're in the actual potting mix, then you don't need to water them as often, and it keeps them happy, and you have less leaves dying on you as well. It's very important to have a well-drained mix here, so you can add a little bit extra mineral. So like gravel or a pebble, you can add that, scoria, pumice or pumice, some people call it as well. You can add a bit of perlite or zeolite as well, just to help with that drainage there. If you are growing them in your garden, very important to make sure that it's very well drained, so that water can get away from those roots as quickly as possible. Fertilizer, they're not really growing a lot now, so I'd wait till they go into their growing season. If it's still quite warm, so like probably low 20-degree days, then you're still okay to get away with like a controlled release fertilizer. Otherwise, I would just go with an organic one, so like your Dynamic Lifter, Blood and Bone. Just make sure you go around the plant, not on it, because sometimes they can burn. You can also use liquid fertilizers. That's okay as well. Seaweed solution is good as well. Just helps to really build a resistance to the extreme weather, so like summer at the moment. Helps them get through that, prevents pest and disease, provides good microorganism activity into the potting mix or the garden soil if you've got it in the garden, and builds a really good root system as well, which is super important for succulents in general. And that's about it.
Sun, water?
Missed too much. So yeah, watering at the moment, you just want to try and hold off because they're sleeping. So you can do them, once a week, even once a fortnight is fine for them. And then as they come into growing season, you can go once a week, maybe sometimes twice a week. In the middle of winter, the potting mix is going to stay moist for a lot longer, so you may go back to once a week or even once a fortnight again as well. And sunlight, I would definitely protect them from the afternoon. You just they can sometimes burn on you quite easily, so morning sun is best up to around lunchtime, maybe early lunch. Just after lunch, early afternoon, and that should keep them happy. So I think I covered mostly everything there. So yeah, if you have any questions, please let us know. Make sure you hit the likes button, subscribe to our channel as well if you haven't. Hit the notification button too, and then when we upload future videos, you'll get notified and you can watch them at your own leisure. But yeah, have a great week.
Where do you go if you're in Australia and want to buy plants?
Yep, if you want to buy plants from us, we're at www.mix-succulents.com.au. So
put the link in the description below.
That's right. Yeah. Have a great week, and we'll catch you in the next Tip Tuesday. See yous.
Bye. I'm just going to do a zoom in of this. It's so pretty.